Come around, listen in and join the fun. Learning as we go, new words and stories. Adventures begun. Let's open up the pages. Don't have far to look. It's all in a book. Ruthy's Reading Room. Ruthy's Reading Room. Ruthy's Reading Room. Ruthy's Reading Room.
Why, hello, little readers. Welcome to Ruthy's Reading Room. I'm Ruthy, and I'm here with my buddy Ja. He's my favorite stuffy, and he's joining us for story time today. I'm so excited to have all of my little readers with me, and you're going to enjoy this one. It's such a great book, but we can't talk about it yet. I have to make sure you're all ready to go. So I'm going to invite you to run and get your stuffy, just like Ja, or if you have other favorite stuffies, a blanket, and some reading buddies. I look forward to reading with you. Run and come back now. Okay, my little readers are coming back with a hop, skip, and a jump. I love it. And, oh, I love when you bring your friends. Is that your neighbor? Oh, it's a new friend from school. Well, hello. All right. So let's ask the question, which book is coming off the shelf next? Let's see. All right, Ja. Oh, you got it? He loves to carry these books in his paws. Awesome. There we go. You got it. Let's all read together. Can you see the title? All my little readers, we're practicing our reading and literacy skills, right? Let's sound out the words and read the title together. This book is called Where the Lightning Has Struck, a true story about Mohawk Chief and Captain John Desserantian. The book was written by Pamela Devonshire and illustrated by Kendra Barberstock. All right, just take a look at the front. Isn't that awesome? All right, so we know the name of the book that we'll be reading, right, Ja? Yep, but we have to make sure you are all ready to listen as well. So, Ja's on my lap. Let's put our listening ears on, and let's put our hands in our lap, and I'm going to check on you. All right. Today, I will use my trusty binocular. Oh, got to focus in here. There we go. Now I can see. Yes. Oh, perfect. Hi, Valerie. Awesome. I see you are all sitting so quietly, and you're ready to listen to this book. I'm going to put Ja in his reading corner, so you won't be able to see him on camera, but know that I'm going to keep checking on him to make sure he keeps his listening ears on. Okay? All right. There you go. And a special note about this book. So there are 3 books in this series written by Pamela Devonshire, and I've been in touch with her a bunch of times, even from the time she was writing the book over a year ago. Did you know it takes a while to put a book like this together? It's true. And I know this series is very close to her heart, and she's a Mohawk woman as well. So one of the things she wanted to do, and I'm going to read it from here, one of the things she wanted to do is all the proceeds from the sale of her 3-book series will go towards the construction of the new Language and Cultural Center for the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory. So that's an awesome, awesome cause, right? Just like I talk about Black representation and supporting the Black community, I want to support other equity-seeking groups in the ways that I can. So keep an ear out. I'll be reading all 3 books here on Ruthy's Reading Room. And as I always say, please support the authors that I feature. They're mostly independent authors, and in this case, Pamela has a heart for seeing a cultural center being built. So what a great cause to support. So now that we're all ready, our listening ears are on, we're not bothering our neighbor, and we're ready to listen, let's dive in. This book series is dedicated to my 2 wonderful children, Stephanie and Matthew. Thank you to my family and friends that helped me every step of the way during the journey of creating these special books. A special thank you to Shira and Rye Barberstock for your support and encouragement. I couldn't have done it without you. Mom, tonight is a perfect night during this incredible thunder and lightning storm to tell you a true story about your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Mohawk Chief and British Army Captain John Desserontian. Desserontian actually means where the lightning has struck. The storm is especially strong tonight, much like Captain John was. This story is about his resilience, determination, and love for his people. I feel this is his way of telling us that you are ready to hear his story. It is our tradition to honor our ancestors by passing down their stories. In this way, their spirit can live on within us. Kids, who was he, Mom? Why was he so great? Mom, over the years, I have uncovered more and more details about his life. I learned about the many great things he did for his people. The impact can be seen and felt even today. The term great also means that his life goes back many generations in our family tree, back to the 1700s, over 250 years ago. You are the 7th generation in our family tree. I will tell you a story about the significance of that another night. Tonight's story is about Captain John. Would it surprise you to learn that a town was named after him? Or that he saved many people's lives during a war? We'll get to all of that later. Oh, this is a good start, huh, little readers? A story about someone who really lived years and years ago. And this mom is sharing the story with her little one. Kids, a town. What town? Who did he save? There was a war? Where? Here? Tell us more. I think that's what you're probably saying too. Lots of questions, but we got to read the book. Mom, maybe the best place to start is the beginning. For hundreds of years, our ancestors lived in the Mohawk Valley, which is now part of New York State, present-day Albany, New York. During that time in history, the Mohawks had a good friendship with the British, and in 1710, Queen Anne gave the Mohawks a gift. Kids, what was it, Mom? Mom, a set of silver for their church to be used for christenings and other special occasions. It was a symbol of their friendship. Part of this story involves the American Revolution. That's when the Americans wanted to gain their independence from the British. Every year, they celebrate the 4th of July with fireworks and parades, the anniversary of that very day. Kids, I know about that. There's so many movies and stories about George Washington and Benjamin Franklin. Mom, that's right, there sure are. It was during the American Revolutionary War that everything changed for the Mohawks. The Mohawk Valley was their home and much more. They had a real connection to the land. The British had not tried to take away their land, so the Mohawks decided to be allies with the British. Okay, so we're learning some history here, right? Mom, Captain John and the Mohawks were fighting more than a war. It was a fight to save their ancestral homeland. At one point, Captain John's shoulder and chest were seriously injured during battle. He recovered quickly and was able to strike again to fight for what he believed in. Now, isn't that a theme that I've talked about before when reading other stories? When people have a cause or a belief or an idea and they're willing to fight for it, right? You might be able to guess what happened from the movies you saw. Throughout the war, the British and Mohawks, along with other friends and allies, fought bravely against the Americans. Mohawk warriors were especially feared by their enemies for their strength, fighting skills, and courage. Unfortunately, the Americans won the war, and the Mohawks had to flee from the Mohawk Valley. So that means they had to leave their home. During the escape, Captain John stayed behind to protect the women and children from their attackers. He struck fiercely and saved many lives as they fled north to what is now Canada. At first, Captain John had to move his people temporarily to Quebec for 7 years while the British government tried to figure out what land to give them to live on, since the Mohawks lost their home in the Mohawk Valley to the Americans. Well, that's good. It sounds like the British were trying to honor what the Mohawks had in the Mohawk Valley and find land for them in Canada. In Quebec, they didn't have enough food and the living conditions were difficult. The Mohawks were war refugees now. And have you heard that word, refugees? When people have to flee their homeland and gain refuge in a different land, right? Mom, the Mohawks were thunderstruck over what happened to them during the next few years. Captain John felt betrayed by the British. Even though they were loyal to King George III during the American Revolution, the Mohawks were not even mentioned in the peace agreement when the war ended. Uh-oh. So what I said about the British honoring the Mohawk Valley, the Mohawk people, and wanting to move them to lands in Canada, it doesn't sound like the British gave them credit for fighting alongside them. Captain John had an excellent memory. He reminded the king about his loyalty and the promises that were made about a new home. Captain John did not wish to be near the Americans. He said, "The Americans are like a worm that cuts off the corn as soon as it appears." Kids, Mom, we don't understand. What does that mean? Mom, for the Mohawks, corn was a part of everyday life and so much more. Yes, it was very important as food and in our stories as one of the 3 sisters, corns, beans, and squash. Corn was also a symbol of their connection to their land. It had real value. It was Captain John's way of saying that he didn't want to live too close to the Americans because they took away everything that was special to him, his home and life in the Mohawk Valley. His people were cut off from what was vital to them. Captain John finally decided to accept the offer from the British to move to the Bay of Quinte, known as Cataraqui. Now, are any of you listening from the Kingston area? Yeah, so the Bay of Quinte isn't too far away, is it? All right. He believed that was a good sign because legends say the Cataraqui area was the birthplace of the great peacemaker. That's a story for another night. And a possible topic that you can look into after we're done this story. High five! Mom, Captain John and the Mohawks lost their ancestral homeland and almost all of their belongings to the Americans. However, they did manage to save an important item. The Mohawks hid the Queen Anne silver set and buried it before they fled, so the Americans couldn't take it from them during their escape. Oh, very smart. Prior to making the journey to their new home, Captain John and 4 other brave Mohawks set out to retrieve the silver set that was hidden back at the Mohawk Valley. So only they knew where the silver set was, right? So they could try and sneak in, take it, and go back. After living in Quebec for several years, Captain John and 20 families finally struck out for their new home and arrived in canoes at the Bay of Quinte on May 22, 1784. There is a special sign there in the place where the families landed, and every spring landing day is celebrated. I didn't know about this. May 22nd would be landing day. After 10 years of determination, in 1793, Captain John obtained the Simcoe Deed, Treaty 3.5, for the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory. The treaty provides our people a safe and convenient tract of land that shall be protected forever. Kids, what about the town that is named after him? Mom, well, that is the town of Deseronto, which is beside Tyendinaga, on the Bay of Quinte, near Prince Edward County and Napanee. It's along the 401 East Highway between Toronto and Kingston, Ontario. So all of my Ontario locals can look it up and look for that stretch along the 401. Anyone who travel the 401 often? so I pass that stretch of land as well. It's good to know the history behind it. Mom, did you see that? A huge flash of lightning just struck near our sugar maple tree. That lightning strike feels like a sign from Captain John. Perhaps he is with us tonight. I hope our story of remembrance brings him peace as we honor him, and that his legacy continues to live on. I am very grateful for everything Captain John did. He loved his people and wanted to protect them and generations to come. Isn't that awesome? That's the end of our story today. Where the lightning has struck has definitely taught me more about the Mohawk Territory and the history behind how that people group ended up right down the street from where I am. I hope that all my littles learned and added to their knowledge bank about the Mohawk people. And like I said, as we read through the story, there are a few points that you could look up more information. Maybe you can learn more about Captain John, right? I encourage you to do that. All right, y'all, come on back. You did so well listening. I was watching. He was listening. So while you're here, don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell. That way you'll know each time we share a new story. And check in the description below. You'll find Pamela's email, and you can arrange to have her book series sent directly to you. And know that all the proceeds from the purchase will go to the Language and Cultural Center of the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory. So it's supporting a great cause. All right? And remember, the best place to read is wherever you are with a book. Happy reading, little readers. Goodbye.
Ruthy's read it.